Did Don and I eat great food in Puerto Morelos? You bet we did. And in this video, I'm going to show you which restaurants we visited, how we rank them, and which ones were our favorites. We have a few. So grab some tacos and let's eat our way through Puerto Morelos. Hi, I'm Nikki. Welcome to La Paz Bound. Don and I arrived in Puerto Morelos on Saturday, March 14th. Once we checked into our Airbnb, I did a full video on our little apartment in my last video. We then headed out for a late lunch. Since we weren't familiar with the area yet, we chose a restaurant close to the apartment. Typically, I ask Don to choose the places we eat because he's really good at combing through reviews to seek out great food. So, for instance, when we went to France 10 years ago, we were able to squeeze into a small, intimate Japanese restaurant called Gyo Gyo in Le Marais, where the chef changes up the menu daily. And it was an unforgettable experience that I really cherish of our trip to Paris. Okay, so back to Puerto Morelos. The first restaurant we visited was the Peninsula. We actually almost passed it as we didn't realize it was just a few steps down from our apartment. Out of over 500 Google reviews, it got 4.7 stars. We were led upstairs to this lovely rooftop with an incredible bar. We did our best to find a table away from the direct sun, and they had portable fans that they moved near our table to keep us cool. It wasn't a cheap meal. It was definitely beach restaurant prices. Don had surf and turf tacos, and the beef tacos were great. And I had octopus and shrimp tacos. The octopus was really good. It was nice and tender. And the drinks were all handmade. None of this pre-mixed bar stuff like you get at beach restaurants along the Gulf Coast in Florida. So one thing to note when you go to these restaurants on the port side of Puerto Morelos are vendors and musicians. And while it's nice to hear a couple of songs, and I don't mind tipping the musicians, some of them will stand at your table while you're eating and sing and play very loudly. And I think it's a cultural difference and just something to be aware of. For the vendors, a polite no gracias works if you don't want to buy jewelry or hot sauce. The next morning, I attempted to cook breakfast, and it didn't go very well. The electric skillet, it just took forever to heat up. Once we got up and going, we headed to the beach around lunchtime and found Dia and Noche's Beach Bar. A lot of the tacos that we ate in Mexico were breaded and fried, but the breading is much lighter than we are used to back home. Don and I split a plate of chicken tacos, and the waiter brought out this yummy garlic sauce to put on the tacos. I actually really enjoyed these tacos, drinking my strawberry daiquiri and sitting looking out at the ocean. We had a couple of vendors come by. They were selling hot sauce and bracelets. For dinner, we went to El Mercadito, which was on the beach. Lots of ceviche on the menu, which I'm not really a fan of. The ambiance was 10 out of 10. We really enjoyed the view of the water, and the service was great. The catch of the day was red snapper, which the waitress brought to our table. It looked like they had just speared it and handed it off to her. I've never had snapper before, and we were going to order it, but instead we split the mahi-mahi cooked in butter and garlic, and it was delicious. The fries were good too. We also ordered a couple of appetizers, tuna tostadas, and octopus tostada. The octopus wasn't as good as what I had at the Peninsula, but the tuna was great. I'm just not a huge fan of tostadas in general. I had a couple of glasses of wine, and Don had a couple of drinks as well. A meal like that in Florida, that would have cost us twice as much. For dessert, we had gelato at Aldo's in the center of town. Gelato is very popular in Puerto Morelos, and to our surprise, there's a strong Italian culture along the Riviera Maya. It wasn't the first place that we had gelato, and I'll tell you which ice cream shop was our favorite later in this video. We got to try a lot of flavors at Aldo's until the guy cut us off and said, "Enough." I ordered what was recommended to me, which was a cheesecake gelato flavor, and Don ordered a berry-flavored gelato, and it was $15 USD for 2 cones. Monday evening, we were craving the hamburgers that we were smelling from our apartment balcony. Steps from our Airbnb is Underground Burger. It's not a big place, and just like the other restaurants on that street, they set up outdoor picnic benches, although they had seating inside, but it wasn't air conditioned. So just a heads up, Underground Burger does not serve alcohol, and you can't go to the restaurant next door and grab a drink and bring it back to the table. Believe me, we asked. Underground Burger also cooks all their hamburgers the same, medium, slightly pink. Underground Burger got 5 stars on TripAdvisor, Yelp, and Facebook reviews, so we had to try it. And it did not disappoint. The burgers were perfectly cooked and so juicy, and the fries were hand-cut, which we love. It was a very filling and satisfying meal. I took a walk after dinner, came back to the room where we watched some local news anchors dancing to Whitney Houston. I want to dance with somebody. Tuesday was spent all day in Cancun to renew our temporary Mexican residency for another 3 years, and I have a video on that process. When we were done at the I&M, we ate at the same taco place as last time. Paragallos? I'm probably butchering that name. We had amazing Baja shrimp tacos and margaritas to celebrate our residency renewal. It rained really hard when we got back to Puerto Morelos, so I'm glad that we ate in Cancun before getting an Uber back to Puerto Morelos, which was actually rather difficult as the cell service. It's really spotty in Cancun, so just something to be aware of. The next morning, I attempted to get breakfast at Belleville, where the pastry chef won awards for the best croissants in the world. I think because of the storm the previous night, he had production problems and only had bread and almond croissants. So I left empty-handed and made my way down to Local Cafe, which was also closed. No signs, no nothing, just closed. I headed back to the apartment and saw that El Nicho was open for breakfast. I started with a cappuccino and ordered the Belgian waffle, eggs, and home fries. The home fries were the best part of the meal. Not sure what happened with this meal, but it's the first time that a meal has made me sick in Mexico. I'm also finding that pancakes and waffles are pretty bland every place that I've had them in Mexico. I ended up skipping lunch for obvious reasons. A few steps in the opposite direction of Underground Burger, still close to our Airbnb, is Mayo's Kitchen, where we had dinner Tuesday night. Every time we passed it, it was always busy, so we thought it might be good, and they served a little bit of everything. We had a fantastic waiter named Victor, and when I told him I'd like a red wine, he said, "Por qué no? Why not?" Don got the roast chicken, and it was very dried out, and I got fettuccine alfredo. The pasta was meh, but the bread, oh my God, the bread. It was this fluffy brioche bread that they slathered in butter and garlic seasoning, and it was amazing. After dinner, we went to the other gelato place next to Underground Burger, Pana y Cocolato. Much better than Aldo's and half the price. I got chocolate gelato in a waffle cone, and it was delicious. We had a pretty early dinner on Wednesday at a restaurant called Puerto Morelos. This is another one that Dawn found a few blocks away from our Airbnb. It got 4.7 stars out of 5. They had indoor seating and a few tables outside. We sat outside and ordered a couple of margaritas, which were incredible. We ordered chicken and beef fajita tacos and liked them so much that we got another round of the beef tacos. The margaritas kept flowing and we didn't mind. By the time we left Puerto Morelos, it was dark and the restaurant was packed. They had to turn away guests because they didn't have any tables left. We did have a lovely older gentleman play the guitar for us, which was beautiful, and a mariachi band came by as well. After dinner, Donna and I took a walk on the beach, then headed into town where a celebration was happening at the local church. I also purchased bread out of the back of a vendor's car. I purchased a concha for 10 pesos, which is a sweet yeast bun that looks like a seashell. Speaking of bread, I went back to Belleville for those croissants, and they did not disappoint. They were fluffy, crispy, buttery goodness. I got 2 plain croissants and 2 pan au chocolats. I then headed over to La Colonia while Don got up and headed to the beach. I joined him at a beach bar where I got coconut shrimp. The shrimp They weren't great, but the white rice that came on the side, that was the best rice that I've ever had. It had so much flavor with little bits of red and green pepper mixed in and topped with sesame seed. I also had the biggest margarita in all of Puerto Morelos. Our last meal in Puerto Morelos was pizza from I Want a Pizza. Very small sign out front and very easy to miss. I placed an order for a pepperoni pizza, which was about $15 USD for a large thin crust pizza. I wouldn't say it was amazing, as people raved about it on their reviews online, but it was pretty good. So there you have it. Every restaurant we visited in Puerto Morelos. Don and I sat down to vote on our top three, and we came up with the following. So in third place, El Mercadito. The beach setting, the fresh fish, just wonderful. In second place, Blue Morelos. Wonderful tacos, margaritas, and the service was outstanding. In first place, this is going to sound weird, but it was Underground Burger. Yeah, burger place. It surprised us too. But we were craving another round of burgers throughout our trip, or at least I was. I have to mention two runner-ups. So the croissants at Belleville and the gelato at Pana y Cioccolato. If we decide to live in Puerto Morelos, it would be very hard not to get those tasty croissants every morning and then gelato as part of our evening stroll. I hope you enjoyed this video on the best eats in Puerto Morelos, Mexico. If you've been to Puerto Morelos, let me know if you agree with our choices. Please remember to like and subscribe. Hasta luego, my friends.